Hey there, this is Kevin here from maximizingecommerce.com. Normally I do videos helping people grow an e-commerce business, but in this particular video, I'm going to talk about whether or not you should attend a Tony Robbins seminar. And to be honest with you, my opinion on this has been all over the place, back and forth. So I did attend Unleash the Power Within, which is Tony Robbins, you could call it his introductory course, back in November of 2017. And I'll share with you here in a moment some of what I would say are results that came out of it. And then really more backtracking a second. So in 2008, I worked at a hotel in Orlando that actually hosted Unleash the Power Within. I don't know that he's done it at a hotel. He usually does it at convention centers. When I attended, it was at the West Palm Beach or Palm Beach County Convention Center in West Palm Beach. But he did it at a hotel, and the hotel I worked at was a pretty big hotel, but it was probably one of those things they outgrew the hotel. But I thought it, let me go back a second. I thought it was a cult. Like, I thought this is the strangest thing. So they had like these, this is back in 2008, these huge chiller units that, because they couldn't fit in any of our ballrooms, they were in our exhibit hall, which was the ground level. And they had these big blast chillers that were just pumping in all this cold air into the room. And I just thought that was so weird. And they were loud. Like, it was the loudest group I'd ever seen at this hotel. So the hotel was built in a way that the convention center had the exhibit hall level on the ground floor, and that's where people were for the seminar. And then on top of that was the ballroom level. And I remember going up to the ballroom level while people were at the first night of Unleash the Power Within, and the door jams, you know, like as you went into the ballroom, were shaking like almost uncontrollably. Like, I thought the whole thing was going to fall down. I was like, this is nuts. This is crazy. And I had a couple of his CDs that I had bought on eBay. And I remember going back and throwing them away. I was just so turned off by just the whole atmosphere. Well, fast forwarding, my thoughts changed a little bit. So what we did was we ended up deciding, as our thoughts changed, to go ahead and just do it. Because I live about 45 minutes north of West Palm Beach. We got a hotel in West Palm rather than going back and forth, because I will warn you, the days are really long at Unleash the Power Within, and as I understand, all of his seminars are like that. But I'll say this. So in 2008, when I had this opinion that it was like this cult and it was crazy, I can see why I would think that, and I can also see why people would think that. At the same time, too, having lived the conference, I could see why most people feel like they have breakthroughs. Like, you go there and there's people, it's like their fifth time going, and they talk about every time they go, they get something huge changes in their life afterwards. So personally, I lost like 15 pounds, and I'm not on a crazy diet or a crazy exercise routine. I just, as Tony puts it, I decided that I was going to lose weight, and I made a new number my home weight, because he says we always go back to our home, whatever we've decided. And he puts things into a lot of perspective. I don't want to go into a lot of detail about what's discussed, because I think some of it is just experiencing it. But I remember when I was at the hotel and they had the Firewalk, I was like, well, there has to be something that's not 100% on board with that. What I thought the issue with the Firewalk was, maybe there was some catch. Like, okay, maybe it's not real coals, or, you know, it's fake or whatever. So you spend the first day, because you do the Firewalk the first night. At least that's the way it was. And for everyone I've heard, it's been pretty much the same. So you spend pretty much the first day doing nothing but preparing yourself for it. So it just kind of gets you mentally prepared for it. And what you do is you just focus, when you go across the coals, you just focus on your outcome. And the outcome, it's like why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Why are you crossing the the coals to get to the other side. So you just focus on the outcome you want to get to, and you don't get burned. And I remember when I got to the other side, they have you wipe your feet, and then they spray down your feet with a hose just to make sure like no coals got stuck on there, because you're in this like mental focus stage that theoretically, okay, it's one thing like maybe you're not catching the fact it's so hot, but you literally don't get burned. And I got to the end, and after I wiped off my my feet and they sprayed me down, I felt like this little burning sensation at the end of one of my toes, and it was strange. So I looked down, and I think I had like one little tiny coal stuck, like a tiny ember. It was enough to really hurt. So it was like, that means like these really were hot coals. I mean, you can feel the heat as you're getting close to it. Like there's no doubt that these are real coals, and it's really hot. And it's like, the fact that you're able to not get burned just because you focus on the outcome becomes this big metaphor for life. Like, what are all the things that we get so wrapped up around? Like, oh, I'm afraid of this, I don't want to do this. Well, focus on the outcome of what you're going to achieve on the other side. So Tony does a lot of stuff with you about visualization and getting there. And I used to think some of that stuff was a little woo-woo, but it kind of got a little more spiritual for me, to be completely honest with you. And I ended up, well, I've ended up being a lot more giving to people. Sorry about that. So I've become a lot more giving to people than I used to be, and I've just seen a lot of just strange changes in my life and how I view things, like what's really important and what matters and what doesn't. I think I've gotten more clear on what matters to me and what doesn't. And I really try to be a better husband and father because of what I was at UPW. And not that I was in bad shape, but I think we always have room for improvement. And one of the things he really kind of gets you to do is you end up spending a lot of time jumping up and down and yelling. And he's like, all right, double the intensity. All right, now triple the intensity. All right, give me all you got. Now give me more. It's like that. And you start realizing like you really have more to give in a lot of cases than you give yourself credit for. It's just, you need someone to help kind of push you through it. So I also have had quite a few breakthroughs in my business. Like for this time last year, basically since then, I bought 70% up for the same time period the year before in my business. Now, not to say that that's all because of Tony Robbins and the seminar, but I do think some of it is attributable to that. So depending on what your goals are, I think he can help you get there. And it may sound like I've been drinking the Kool-Aid, and I probably have been, but I really do recommend, if you have any doubt in your mind, just go and check it out. You know, because you'll come home and you'll have this book and you'll have these experiences, and you'll have shared, you know, with people about these crazy things. And it's one of those things, and I think he uses this example that going there is almost like, in describing it to someone, is almost like describing a sunset to a blind person. You can kind of describe what it looks like, and they can kind of get maybe a picture in their mind, but if they've never experienced what a sunset looks like, it's going to be hard for them to understand. So if you don't have the money to go, I would say at least watch his videos and start getting into like some of the discussion. But there's something to be said about being there live and being around other people and the energy of the other people. And I think there's probably even more to it, the energy of the other people. He does a good job focusing everyone's energy in the room. And there was like 9,000 people in the room. And then there was another room upstairs at the convention center in Palm Beach that had like another 1,800, they said. So it was about 11,000 people that were there. It wasn't like a small number of people by any stretch of the imagination. And just being around all these people, you start realizing there really is an energy when you're around other people that you just don't get from watching YouTube videos. But I would highly recommend, like he does UPW, Unleash the Power Within, 3 times a year, it seems like, when I've been paying attention. Try to save up for one of them. You know, they have buy one, get one free. So figure out, you know, whatever the ticket cost is and see if you can get somebody to split it with you. whatever the buy one free is, and just go. And if you do go, my biggest advice is just trust in the process. Go all out, be open-minded, and you'll be amazed at what will come out on the other end. I mean, you could have some great stuff happen to you, or life happens for you, not to you, but you could just end up having some good experiences out of it. So hopefully you found this video helpful. And if you did, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Thanks. Whoops.